Hello everybody and welcome to the April edition of Our Sky Tonight at Home, our virtual planetarium show. I am Mr. Patrick Rowley here at the James E. Richmond Science Center in Charles County, Maryland. Tonight I decided to start the show in front of our Science on a Sphere, since it's been so long since many of you have had a chance to see the Science on a Sphere in person, right? Indeed, we miss you being here in the planetarium, in the Science Center, in person, and we look forward to when that day comes that you can come back here to the Science Center in real life, all right? Now, don't forget to leave a comment here on Facebook Live to be entered to win a door prize here from the Science Center. All you have to do is say hi, or you can let us know where you're watching from, or maybe tell us your favorite planet besides Earth, right? In those comments, again, to be entered for a door prize and to let us know you're here. Now, tonight we'll be looking at all kinds of stars, planets, and constellations that you can see in the night sky throughout April and even into May. So let's get started. As usual, we'll start by looking in the southwestern sky a bit before sunset. Tonight, sunset is at 7:41 p.m. Now, just think, for the last virtual sky show, the sunset was before the sky show started. In fact, we've added over 2 hours of evening daylight since the last sky show. Now that it's dark, we can see the stars. I'm going to turn on all the constellations for a bit. There we go. And just turn the sky around until we are looking in the western sky. So as we look, remember that constellations are shapes formed by connecting stars with imaginary lines. Now I've added the lines here on the night sky so that you can see the constellations. And if I add the constellation art, you'll notice that these shapes can range from everything from simple geometric shapes like triangles, to animals, to people, and even mythological creatures. Now that we have reached the western sky, I wanted to show you the young moon moving in the sky towards Mars over the next few nights. The young moon will be hard to see tomorrow. It's rather young, and the crescent shape that's illuminated will be very small. It's also going to be kind of low on the horizon when you're looking. Now, over the next several nights, however, the young crescent moon will become more illuminated and inch closer and closer to Mars. There. So, if you like looking at the night sky, but also don't want to pull out a sky chart to figure it out, this one's easy. The moon guides your way to seeing a neighboring planet, and you don't have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to find it. Again, it's over the next few nights. After sunset, find the crescent moon, and you'll find Mars. Now, a few nights after that, on the 18th, the moon will guide you to the constellation Gemini, also known as the twins in the southwestern sky. So we're continuing to use the moon to guide us to find objects in the night sky. First Mars, and now a constellation, Gemini. The two brightest stars in this constellation are Castor and Pollux, known as the twin stars. Now, they actually aren't very close to each other in space. They just look close to each other from our perspective here on Earth. Now, in Greek and Roman mythology, Castor and Pollux are part of the Jason and the Argonaut story, sons of Zeus or Jupiter. But in China, they were associated with two rivers, as well as the complementary elements of yin and yang. So we can see how stars and constellations that we typically think of as part of Western world stories have their own stories in different cultures around the world. Now, another constellation you can see in April and actually throughout the spring in the eastern sky is Hercules, the hero. Hercules can be found between the two bright stars Arcturus and Vega. Now, if you've been to any of my previous planetarium shows, you may remember that you can star hop to find Arcturus, which will make finding Hercules a bit easier. So, we're going to start here at the Big Dipper, which most people can find. A lot of times you'll want to look in the northern sky to find it. So there's the Big Dipper. And then we can use the handle of the dipper, the handle of this sort of ladle object, the Big Dipper, to arc our way towards Arcturus, the star. Now remember, the Big Dipper is not considered an official constellation. It is part of the larger Ursa Major constellation, but the Big Dipper is known as an asterism, just an unofficial shape in the night sky. So we can use, again, the handle of the Big Dipper to arc our way towards Arcturus in the night sky. And then once we find that it's a relatively bright star, we look for the other nearby bright star, which is Vega, and in between we can find Hercules. Now the brightest stars of the Hercules constellation form somewhat of a square-ish shape, so that can help you find which constellation is Hercules. So I'm going to finish up tonight then with a few things that we can find in May. So the first thing is that May is actually the best month to find the planet Mercury. You'll want to look around dusk in the western sky, just above the horizon. If you can see Orion's belt, these three bright stars that are really close to each other right here, well, you're looking in the right area. Now, here, this dot is Mercury. And again, this is the best month to find Mercury. It's when it's at its brightest to us here on Earth to be able to find it. It's throughout the month of May. The trick is that it will be just above the horizon. So you'll need to be in an area where you don't have a lot of trees or buildings in your way. Now remember, Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system. Remember, Pluto is a dwarf planet. So Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system and the closest to the sun. However, it's not the hottest planet, as you might expect, being that it is so close to the sun. Well, that title belongs to Venus. Why? Well, Mercury has little atmosphere, so the heat does not build up as much due to the greenhouse effect like it does on Venus or even Earth. Venus, in fact, has such a thick atmosphere of a lot of carbon dioxide that the greenhouse effect is extremely strong and causes it to become the hottest planet. Mercury, on the other hand, can be hot during the day when the sun is shining on it, right? But at night, with that no lack of atmosphere, that heat just escapes rapidly and becomes very cold. May also brings us a partial lunar eclipse, that's of the moon, on May 26th at around 4:45 in the morning. Yes, that's an early morning. On Wednesday the 26th of May, Earth's penumbral shadow, the more faint shadow, will begin to cover the moon, giving the moon a somewhat red or pink color. The greatest eclipse for us, when most of that penumbral shadow is covering the moon, will occur about an hour later at 5:45 p.m. just as the darker umbral shadow starts to cover the moon. Unfortunately, that's just when the moon is set to move below the horizon. So we will miss the full total eclipse, but we will see some version of an eclipse of the moon that night, or early that morning rather. Because of how low the moon will be to the horizon, again, you'll want to be in an area with either a high elevation, not too many of those around here, or at least few trees and buildings where you're looking. And finally, we'll take a look at a constellation that you can find from May through October, the Northern Crown, or Corona Borealis. Now, it's not a complete circle, so you can maybe even see it as a tiara of sorts. The Corona Borealis is found in the eastern sky. Now, why is it then called the Northern Crown? Well, it's in the northern hemisphere sky. There's a southern crown as well in the southern sky. All right, in the southern hemisphere sky. So we're looking in the eastern sky in the northern hemisphere. Also between Arcturus and Vega. So we see this kind of crescent-shaped constellation forming that crown constellation there. And the brightest star in the center of the crown is called Alphecca, or Gemma, like a gem. Now this is also sometimes known as the pearl of the crown. And that's all I have for you tonight, folks. Thank you all so much for joining us for another virtual planetarium show. We look forward to seeing you in person again one day. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.